Hola and welcome here at the Circuito de Jarama. We are in Spain and this is the Grande Finale. We have 36 races on 8 weekends and 4 races left at the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Hola and welcome. We're so glad to have you back with us here under the sun of Spain. Norbert Kish took his 4th Goodyear FIA ETRC title last weekend at Le Mans, and he had 14 wins in his book so far. That's really, really incredible. But Jochen Hahn, he leads the running for the vice champion title this season, chased by Sascha Lenz, 12 points between the competitors. And let's do not forget the Promoters Cup, Theo Cavé leading ahead of Jamie Anderson with 15 points. But there are 60 points still on the market this weekend, so we're going to have a look, and it's going to be drama and action as always throughout the season. We are ahead of the qualifying, little delay due to the Spanish championship. Normally we would have been there on a bus riding a parade, but of course the schedule is so tight, and of course we want to see the racing action, and this is why we will not have further delays. So all the drivers are back here in the paddock. And can you see the fans and the stands over there? This is very special here in Spain. Really, everyone here is so glad to be back. You know, 2020 we could not compete here. 21 we still had some COVID restriction, and right now the race is open. So happy to be back and so happy to hear familiar voices. Hi, my name is Chas Dreykood. No, I'm not, but Chas Dreykood, you will hear him soon, and Joachim Eberts. Nice to have you back, guys. So what are you up to ahead of this qualifying?
Yes, good morning, Christina. Good morning, everybody. Well, good afternoon, actually. It's not often that we have qualifying sessions in the afternoon in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. I'm actually stationed in a very busy media centre for this weekend's commentary, so I'll apologise in advance now for any potential echo or potential other voices that you will hear in the background as well. But it seems so far that, thanks to investing in decent audio equipment, we've got a pretty decent setup in here, to be utterly honest with you. However, looking out the window, it is a very, very packed day. There's a lot of people around the circuit, fantastic vibes and a lot of sunshine all around. It is a gorgeous place to be here, just north of Madrid, for Circuit Jarama, and it is one of my very favourite circuits in the world. It's really old school, but it's had a lot of investment and a lot of improvements over the time, and it's not lost its character. They've changed a lot of things for the safety and to make everything just better in general as a racing circuit, and it has not lost any of the original character. You can see the parade buses here making their way around the circuit, and there's going to be a lot of media and photographers taking many a picture from up there. And as heard, we do have a 10-minute delay to this qualifying session, but we come here to the final race meeting of the season with Norbert Kish already crowned as champion, Jochen Hahn and Sascha Lenz fighting between the two of them. And then, of course, Adam Lachko trying to grab that 3rd position from them after a decent run of form recently, but there's no guarantee that he will get that. Theo Calvé leading the Promoters Cup is certainly the focal driver this weekend, with Jamie Anderson behind him. Shane Brereton is out of the running, unfortunately, in the Promoters Cup. But there you do see a number of our drivers making their way around the circuit. I was very grateful to be on board with our wonderful Frank the Tank this morning in the Iveco S-Way, the bio-LNG powered Iveco. And I was actually sat on the back. We had the wonderful Judith Ehrman with us in the cab. She was the royal passenger for the day, essentially. It's her last weekend with the championship for now, which is a real shame because she's such a great character in the paddock for Team Schwaben Truck. And I was sat on the bed in the back of the truck, and I was flying around all over the place. It was a hell of a lot of fun, though. But my motion sickness kicked in after 4 laps, and luckily we only did 5. Either way, these guys are only going to do 1 lap of the circuit, but they're going to give a good wave and a good welcome to all of the fans around the track in the gorgeous sunshine here this afternoon. It's a weekend that's gone by very, very quickly already. I cannot believe we are already partway through Saturday and getting excited now for trucks to be out for the 3rd session of the weekend. They had 2 practice sessions earlier on this morning. Norbert Kish was fastest, as he often is. He's going to be looking to try and take 16 wins at least this weekend. We go back down to Christina, though. She's right in the thick of it down there in the paddock.
Yes, absolutely. So great seeing all the fans back here. And the driver really to watch this weekend is, of course, the local hero, Antonio Albacete. We're ahead of his truck. You can see he's already in there, but the helmet is still off. You know, he knows every straw on the sideway of this track, of course. As his father raced here, he watched as a child. So there's a long history and surely no advantage for him if he could take another 1 or 2 laps, which we did yesterday. But to get even the advantage even smaller, we changed from Maxi to Mini with Antonio Albacete. We are here at Jarama, and this is, of course, Antonio Albacete. I mean, he's the man here to be. Antonio, nice to meet you. Thank you very much. We know you're in the truck, but this is a Mini Cooper.
Yep.
Yeah, not only a racer, but you're also treating Mini Coopers. What do you do exactly?
Well, I mean, it's a long story, but for the moment, what I do is I have a small workshop, you know, and I do some kind of repair or rebuild, you know, of these classic minis.
And we want to have fun, and this is why let's take a ride with a Mini.
Yeah, okay, why not?
Yeah.
Good.
Good. Tim Frost over there, waving the Spanish flag. Fan number 1. So let's have a look at your history. Thanks very much for bringing those photos. I mean, this is spectacular. Is that here in Jarama?
Yes, this is me at Jarama. This is also me with one of my father's first car.
Wow.
You know? And then this is my father here in the Jarama at the beginning. You see there's only just the tower that's there.
Great history with Mini, but right now it's the Maxi.
Yeah,
it's the final
big one.
episode here at Jarama
The
of the
big one.
Goodyear FIA ETRC. You had, as we were saying in Spanish, a bit mala suerte, a bit bad luck. What do you think about this final episode for you? Are you prepared well?
Well, I think that we are prepared well, you know. I mean, it's for me, it's my home race, so it's a little bit of pressure, of course. But yeah, I hope that everything is okay, that we don't have this bad luck and we can do some good results. I think it's going to be a lot of people here, so I hope to do it well and have fun, you know. I mean, I think it's the last race, so we have to have fun.
Antonio Albacete, an absolute star around here. And there are many, many fans dotted around the circuit that will be cheering him on. Spanish flags waving all around this crazy, crazy circuit, it must be said. I often liken it to a karting circuit. The amount of times that it comes back on itself and repeats after hairpin is very, very impressive. And it's obviously a big challenge for the trucks and for all of our drivers as well. They have so much to think about as this track flows one way then the other. And it's going to be really good to see how they take on said challenge this weekend. We've had many a different condition in the past. And here this weekend, it's looking nice and dry. So hopefully we're going to have some optimum lap times. The lap record around here is a 1:57.3, which was set back in 2018 by Jochen Hahn. And he is hoping, I'm sure, to try and get close to that this weekend. And, of course, get close to Norbert Kish as well, who seems to be the man to beat as ever. There's a look at the shape of the circuit. Then 13 corners around here and a lot of undulation. When you look at this track on a track map like this, you don't quite realise just how steep a lot of these hills are. As you go through the left-hander at Pegaso and up over the hill under the big Dunlop bridge that we have here, it is an amazing climb, and it's very, very sudden. And you go over the crest down towards Ascari and then Portago at the bottom. And it is so, so hard on the brakes for these trucks, all while trying to maintain the weight transfer going from right to left and then hard on the brakes, round a hairpin, and then you're going straight back downhill again. It's like one big Spanish roller coaster, and it's going to be a really good, fun weekend to see how these cars, or trucks at least, get on. Not too hot out here at the moment. It's a wonderfully sunny day, clear sky as ever, not a single cloud in the air. But it's just got that slight winterish chill about it as we head into the later part of the year here in 2022. And of course, the final curtain of the 2022 season. One man that's going to be happy to enjoy this weekend without a lot of pressure on board is going to be Csaba Bako from the Revesh Racing team. And Christina is with him now for a quick chat.
Pressure is off, of course, for the team, but 14 wins, and I know you're aiming for more. How was the practice?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, the championship position is already decided mathematically, but we still consider the weekend as an opportunity to win 4 more races. So we still like to do the best what we can do. So we are going for a victory again.
Short amount of time from Le Mans to here. Any big changes, or could you take the truck in one piece to here?
Yeah, luckily we had not big damage in Le Mans, so there was not so many repairs needed afterward the weekend. So just the regular service, changing brakes, checking everything, working on the truck. So it's all in a good shape, everything's working just fine.
How do you keep the energy up?
You know, I think everybody who's involved in the team already has it in his blood, that we just want to win, we just want to do the best what we can, and, you know, especially here in this mood with all the spectators, with this nice weather, what we have, it just feel, of course, like you said, the stress is off, so we enjoy it just a bit better. But the goal is still the same. We try to give the best what we can.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Chess.
Lovely stuff, and it's going to be a very enjoyable weekend for them. You know, it's an amazing circuit, a great team, a well-oiled machine as well, and you know that Norby's not going to take his foot off the gas. He's going to go straight for it this weekend, give it everything, try and get those race wins as he always does. There's no point taking your foot off the gas when you can still contribute to your total points at the end of a season. And I mean, we've seen Norby previously win 19 races in the championship. He could still actually make that work this weekend. Actually, apologies, no, I'm terrible at maths. He can't. He's got 14 wins so far this season, 19 podiums up to this point, but he could get close to his incredible dominance from 2015 and make it 18 victories in a season, which out of 32 races is absolutely frightening. A more than 50% win record in a championship is just an amazing feat, and he could very, very easily get there. He's got the pace to do it. Just needs the fortune to come his way. But a number of drivers that will be looking to have repeat success here, especially, will be Kurzim and Calvé. Theo Calvé won, of course, for the second time ever, last time out at Le Mans, at his home circuit. Andre Kurzim has an overall race victory here as well from last season. The two of them will be looking to try and repeat that, of course, this time round. Norbert Kish last year won races 1 and 3, as he so often does. And we're going to see whether he can repeat that as well. Looking back a few years as well, when the lap record was set in 2018 by Jochen Hahn, he went on to actually win the first and third race of the weekend, while René Reiner won the second and fourth race of the weekend. So they were definitely on alternating duties as it all worked out that weekend. Look at the wonderful big rigs that we have here as well. These massive, massive machines, humongous exhausts towering skywards with the Spanish flag on the back as well. There's some epic machines around here from all eras of the industry. And it's always good fun to see them. And it's great to have them all together as well, rather than just have, you know, a lot of very old trucks or a lot of brand new trucks. There's a great mix of them at all of the events that we do, and everybody remains in high spirits and certainly enjoys seeing them all in the paddock together. Here you see a lot of the fans around the sides of the circuit on the banks. But Christina, you're right in the middle of it, aren't you?
I'm absolutely right in the middle of it. You can see Andre Kurzim passing by. It was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Andre Kurzim. You know, why seems a little less organized than normal? They were afraid that someone still was on this parade bus, but we saw everyone coming off. So this is why they line up right now in the pit lane. And yes, I think everyone is here. You see the Portuguese team, also see Theo Calvé, and everyone, cell phones up, taking the best picture from here. But you don't need to have the cell phone app. You've got our live stream, and thanks for watching.
Yes, indeed. It's certainly a worrying moment when you think somebody hasn't got off the bus. There was a moment actually yesterday where the wonderful Barbara Prosk and I were getting the bus to the airport, and somebody basically got told, "This is your stop," and the guy had fallen asleep, and there was a sudden rush as the bus pulled away again to get this guy off the bus. Anyway, that was part of a very busy and long day yesterday of travelling to Jarama, and you can see the heat haze as it gets hotter and hotter here heading into the afternoon. Everybody lining up at the end of the pit lane. Now, they come out in the first part of the session in championship order. So we're going to see Norbert Kish lead the way, followed by Jochen Hahn, Sasha Lenz, and then Adam Lachko. Antonio Alberthetti is going to leave the pit lane in 5th position. You can see the marshals and all the personnel around the circuit giving their appreciation to these incredible show trucks, making their way around the final corner now. They're just making their way past my window as well. I'm in the building on the right-hand side of the shot, just looking over. There's a humongous purple Volvo just making its way past me right now, actually, right near the front of the parade. It's very odd here, actually, at the circuit. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it from any of the shots from this corner, but maybe on the start-finish straight. But there is a literal motorway that runs parallel with the start-finish straight, and it's not very far away either. So you can actually see all the trucks and all the racing machines on this track when you're driving along on the highway, and vice versa. When you're at the racetrack, you can see the motorway and the cars just going about their daily lives on the highway from inside the circuit. And here you can see the parade bus is going quite outside of track limits. There'll be a black and white flag for that, I'm sure, as they swing now back into the pit lane. Seems like a bit of an unorthodox way to do it for me, but obviously with a busy pit lane and everything, then they're not going to drive all these trucks down said pit lane. But hopefully they don't drag too much grass or anything onto the circuit. As the marshal makes their way out to wave everybody in. There is the big purple Volvo at the front that I was talking about a moment ago. And if you are into your trucks and you want to see these sorts of machines, then we do urge you to come down to our wonderful events that take place all over Europe. Obviously, it will be next season. But some of the examples on show are glorious machines. They're so well kept, absolutely immaculate, bolt to bolt. Yeah, I imagine you can hear the horns, not just on the broadcast itself, but out of my window too. They are very, very loud, I have to say. There's the big long-nosed Scania as well, a humongous white machine with that gorgeous piston design up the side of it and the checkered flags on the back. Scania V8 as well. One of the absolute powerhouses of the industry. A big flash of the lights as well as they get the last of them in now. Now, the big rig we mentioned earlier, that's going to take some turning into the pit lane, to be fair. So going out onto the grass is a perfectly justified manoeuvre. Now we're going to have a quick look at the current standings and just remind you of the situation. Norbert Kish is the 2022 champion. He has an immense points gap now over Jochen Hahn and Sasha Lenz. But with only 12 points between those two this weekend and 60 on offer, then it's certainly going to get shaken up as this weekend goes on. We're going to have to keep our eye on that one quite closely. Lachko and Alberthetti in 4th and 5th, both pretty safe in their positions. Jamie Anderson's had an amazing run of point scoring overall recently, and he's actually put himself in contention for a spot to be rated as a Titan driver for next season, so he will not be able to go for the Promoters' Cup. Steffi Halm is 7th, ahead of Teo Calve, who is on the brink of winning the Promoters' Cup, but it's going to be an exciting battle between him and Jamie this weekend. Andre Kurzim, newly 31 years old after yesterday, is just in 9th place ahead of Shane Brereton, but he's only 10 points behind Teo Calve, so a good weekend could see him change that. Lucas Hahn remains on 38 points ahead of Stefan Fass, who will surely move ahead of him this weekend with a top 10 finish or two. And then we get Jose Rodriguez in 13th. Anthony Janiak remains on the board as a mark of respect after we tragically lost him earlier in the season. René Reiner, Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, Martin Gibson and Thomas Robineau round out your point scorers so far in the 2022 championship. There's a fantastic buzz around the whole place here at Jarama, not just from the media centre which I'm in, but all around the track as well. I can see just out the window, I can see the amazing amount of cars that have been parked opposite on the left-hand side there, and the grandstands, which are gradually getting more and more full. Here is the battle we're keeping our eyes on this weekend mostly, which is Teo Calve and Jamie Anderson. 15 points between the two of them. Like I've said, 60 on offer in the Promoters' Cup as well. They don't just score points overall, they get them for their class position. So even if, say, Teo finishes 4th in a race and Jamie finishes 8th, they still get 20 and 15 points respectively in the Promoters Cup. Shane Brayton just out of touch with the top two now after the reigning champion hasn't quite had the season with a lot of engine issues, but he still had a very good run of it ahead of Stefan Fass and Jose Rodriguez. Heinrich Clemens Hecker is on 139 points and clearly safe ahead of Lucas Hahn. Jonathan Andre continues to try and move up the board, but it's not really guaranteed he's going to score enough points to do that this weekend. So we have an estimated start time of 11 minutes past 1. It's now 10 past 1, so any moment now the machines will make their way out onto the circuit in championship order, and we'll get the qualifying session underway for all of our wonderful and very patient fans, it has to be said. We hope wherever you may be in the world, you are enjoying your weekend so far. And we hope as well that the weather is just as nice as it is wherever you may be in the world as well, because it's just been getting nicer and nicer. It was unbelievably cold this morning, though, about 6 degrees for most of the morning. But then when the sun came up and started heating things up, it has been absolutely wonderful since. So then, Norbert Kish makes his way out onto the circuit, and Big Red Baloo will lead the field round for the penultimate qualifying session of the championship. We only have one qualifying session per day. That's if you don't include Superpole. But then, of course, the second and fourth races of the weekend are sorted out by reverse grid. So the top 8 in the prior race will then determine the starting grid for the second and fourth races of the weekend. That gives you a real sense, that shot there, of just how gorgeous this place is, but the size of the event as well, the massive scale of how many fans we have here. Look at the grandstands. Everybody excited to watch from this very tight and twisty section as they go through the right-hander at Varzi into the hairpin at Le Mans, and then this hairpin closest to our camera is Farina. Everybody just having their initial opening lap just to get things up to temperature. And as you see, as ever, Norbert Kish having a very fast first outlap. He does this quite often. He doesn't take a very chilled approach to these outlaps. He gets on with it and really gets the truck up to speed, makes sure everything's running nicely. He's coming down into Portago, the hairpin at the bottom. Ascari is a very tricky section before that as well, because they go over the crest, they have to go right and then left, and then get it on the brakes and manage the weight before they throw it around to the right-hand side once again. And then Norby comes down one of the most challenging parts of the circuit. Quick left-hand kink down the hill, and then we have the Esses du Bugatti, which is a big, big drop down the hill. And you're hard on the brakes all the way over to the right-hand side of the circuit, trying not to kick up the dust. And you almost come to a complete stop around this hairpin. It was the corner that, out of all of them earlier, really scared me the most when Frank was driving Judith and I around in the Iveco. And it's the one that made me bang my head on the side of the cab the most. And then they go around Monza, this extra hairpin just before the end of the lap, and then the right-hander at the very, very end of the lap is Tunel, where they will then fly down the start-finish straight. And it's downhill as well, so they get a big slingshot off it, and they need to be careful of overspeeding because they get much more acceleration than they normally would down a flat start-finish straight. So they hit the 100 mile an hour, 160 kilometers an hour limit very, very quickly. Norby starts his first lap of the weekend then in qualifying. Jochen Hahn just behind him there in the number 4 Iveco, as you see, for Team Hahn Racing. I've mentioned it a few times, so apologies to Jochen if he doesn't want me to mention it so much, but last year was the first year in 10 seasons where Jochen didn't finish in the top 3 of the championship. That's why he's wearing the number 4. He often wears this finishing position from the previous season, which is something I really enjoy as a motorsport fan. It's nice to get an indication of which drivers could potentially be the ones to look out for in the following season. Sasha Lenz and Norbert Kish both doing that as well, running numbers 2 and 1. But a lot of drivers have a favourite number and often stick to it, as displayed by drivers like Rene Reiner, obviously running number 77. He didn't finish 77th in last year's season, in case that needed clarifying. There goes Jochen Hahn up over the top of the hill down towards Ascari. Look how fast they go through that right-hander there, comparing that to the outlap that we saw Norbert Kish complete just a moment ago. It's incredible the pace that they carry up into there, and incredible just how good these brakes are on these racing trucks. Then they're hard on the power flinging all of the torque down into the road. Flying down the left-hand kink. You can hear the tyres screaming for mercy and slamming on the brakes and throwing it into Bugatti. And we have to keep our eye on the lap times, of course, for the weekend. We need to make sure we know about it if anybody beats that lap record from Jochen Hahn from years and years ago. The outlaps are about 2 minutes 46 seconds so far. Norby has crossed the line and he has done a 1:58.459. That's about a second off the lap record set by Jochen Hahn in 2018. But it's still a very fast time, and that I'm sure will be his only time of this session as well. He's 1.1 seconds clear of Sascha Lenz at the moment, who's done a 1:59.628. Jochen Hahn has gone third fastest ahead of Antonio Albertetti, and then Adam Lachko is in fifth position. Then it's Theo Calve and Jamie Anderson, the two of them separated by about 0.2 of a second. Then we have Steffi Helm, Andre Kurzem, and Jose Rodriguez currently rounding out the top 10. Shane Burton is 11th with a 2 minutes 0.1597. Sorry, 2 minutes 1.597. Apologies. Now, the important part of this qualifying session, let's not forget, is that the top 10 then go through to Superpole, where the top 10 positions will then be sort of rearranged by the drivers who progress through. 15 trucks on our roster for the weekend. John Newell is back with us as well after racing at Le Mans. I was speaking to him yesterday. He was in high spirits. He's very positive after getting more track time in the gorgeous number 18 machine. And then we have Jonathan Andre back with us as well. He was racing in the French Truck Racing Championship at Le Mans. He was racing under the number 44 for Lion Truck Racing, but he's back wearing the number 66 this weekend of the late Anthony Janiak, completing the season for him in wonderful, wonderful spirit as well. Here is Sascha Lenz, the man that's looking to make a big imprint on Jochen Hahn's championship hopes for this weekend. Those two are fighting for second in the championship. They both have 2 wins apiece so far this season. Sascha Lenz has 17 podiums to Jochen Hahn's 16. But Jochen Hahn is the only driver other than Norbert Kish to have sat on pole position at any point this season. 13 pole positions for Norbert Kish, 14 wins and 19 podiums. The next driver, actually, in terms of wins, is Jamie Anderson. He's won 4 races outright this season and been on the podium 6 times, more than Jochen Hahn and Sascha Lenz. There is Theo Calve going a bit slowly. I think he's pretty happy with his lap time. Don't forget as well, the timing tower that you see on the left-hand side has that little letter P next to the driver's numbers if they are in the Promoters' Cup. Now, drivers that enter the Promoters' Cup are ones that have basically not finished in the top 7 in the overall championship the previous year, and nobody that's won the championship outright in the last 10 years. There are also rules against drivers being rated as Chrome, as they call it anyway, for the following season based on qualifying results. So if you get a certain position in Superpole, then you will not be, you have to do it a number of times, and you will not be considered to be a Chrome driver the following season, because that is a show of outright pace from everybody that we see out there. Now, Jamie Anderson, as you saw in the black and blue machine, is now back into the pits as well. This is Stefan Faas, currently in 12th position, 3.2 seconds off. Needs to gain half a second, or maybe even a little bit more than that, about 0.6 of a second, to overtake Jose Rodriguez and move inside the top 10. So the German is pushing very hard indeed out of the first corner down at Fangio. He had Heinrich Clemens Hecker just behind him as well. Heinrich's another 9/10 back from Stefan currently, so he's got even more work to do as well. About 1.5 seconds is needed for him to move up an extra position. And based on our timing screen, we have the top 9 all in the pits at the moment. So Jose Rodriguez has stayed out there in case he needs to set a faster lap. Because if he gets dethroned from 10th position by any of these drivers, he needs to be able to try and respond to that as quickly as possible. Good to see Jonathan Andre continuing to improve as well. He's getting quicker all the time. more and more seat time is very, very important. Something I was speaking to John Newell about at Le Mans. Look at the way that Stefan Fars's Scania is bobbling around on its way down to Bugatti at the bottom of the hill. Amazing stuff to see. Just how these trucks show their body language as well. That's one of the best things about it, is Stefan clips all of the dust and gravel on the outside. Tony Idden was warning all of the drivers just yesterday in the briefing that they've put in a lot of money and investment into the circuit to relay a lot of the sand traps and the gravel traps around here. So it's thinner and softer than the previous gravel traps they had, but it will stop them as Heinrich Clemens-Hecker has a massive slide through the final corner. Boy, oh boy, that was a big moment. But these trucks really do slide nicely. They're easy to control. I say easy, but for racing drivers, they're easy to control when they have a slide because all of the weight is over the front end and all of the grip. As, Jose Rodriguez nearly absolutely smacks into that bollard there. But it was just about to end up on the beach, which, as you can imagine with Madrid, is a long way away. Might have ended up interfering with the airspace at Madrid airport. So Stefan Fars has moved up into 9th place, so he's gone even one better than beating Jose Rodriguez. He's actually gone faster than Andre Kurzim as well. Fantastic stuff from him. And Antonio Albacete, who is the man of the weekend, apparently anyway, is with Christina for a quick chat, I'm told.
Yes, currently on P number 4. It is great for you to be back again on this home ground.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, we have to do now the Super Pole, you know, we see how's it going. I mean, now with the new tires, it was not so good as before. I don't feel so comfortable. So let's hope that now in the Super Pole, we have right temperature in the tires and we can fight for the front row.
It seems not too hot, the asphalt. Which temperature are you aiming to?
Yeah, well, it's getting hotter and hotter, you know, so that makes the tires to be hotter and hotter also. So that's why I don't know. We will see now what's going on. So I hope we can make a good lap.
Thank you very much, Antonio Albacete. So tire management, one of those themes again, Chaz.
Yes, indeed. That's one of the things that you always have to consider when you come to a place like Jarama. It can get really, really hot at most of the circuits that we visit, but we all know that Spanish heat is just different heat, isn't it? It's just an extra level of hot when it gets properly hot here. So, yeah, the circuit, very abrasive. You know, you've got a lot of hairpins, a lot of fast sweeping corners as well, which really do hurt the tyres, regardless of how good the tyres are, which they are very good. They can get really worn and build up a lot of temperature there. So if you're going through the fast right-hander here, like Heinrich Clemens-Hecker is, it's not so bad because you get a few moments down the straight for those tyres to cool slightly on the run into turns 1 and 2, which is Nuvolari, the long left-hander leading into the hairpin, which is apparently turn 2. But if you're going down the hill after Portago towards Bugatti at the bottom of the hill, you've got to go through that quick left kink. Now that really heats up the tyres on the way into the hairpin, so you get there and you feel like you've got no grip whatsoever. Somebody recently I was discussing the truck racing with actually came up with a fantastic analogy, saying that the truck tyres, when they get very hot under the massive amount of weight that these vehicles have to sort of put through them, they feel like they're glass all of a sudden. They just go really shiny and have absolutely no purchase on the surface whatsoever. Here goes Heinrich Clemens-Hecker through the right-hander at Farina. And there you can see just how steep it is. Look, you can see the paddock there, and then he pops up through the left-hander at Pagasso and over the hill. The number 25, one of two Scanias in the field, flying back down the hill. Now you can expect to see overtaking manoeuvres into here as people go hard on the brakes, manage the weight transfer. You'll see people trying to brake as late as they dare into this part of the circuit. And we're going to go back to another bit of the circuit, i.e. the pit lane, where Christina is speaking to Steffi Halm.
Absolutely. Currently on PH, Steffi, it's always so interesting to see you after qualifying ahead of Super Pole because there's lots of traffic on your ear. What are you focusing on right now?
Yeah, I just wait and hope that the time and decision is quick enough to get into the Super Pole, and then I try to make a better lap than in the with more pressure because I try to save the tires a little bit. So hopefully it works and we can go into the Super Pole and go a little bit quicker than in the first part of the qualifying.
When should be the turning point? At which point do you decide to go out on another lap or to stay here? How many minutes do you need for that?
So we have around 2 minutes in the lap time. For a fast lap time, it's enough to go 1 second before the practice is over the start and finish line. So for sure, if you go 3 minutes before the session is over on the track, you have enough time to make another lap.
Thank you very much. So Chaz, as you can see, the 3 minutes, they're really, really important, the last 3 minutes, but still a bit to go.
Yeah, definitely. It's a nerve-wracking time if you're one of those drivers that are either in 7th, 8th or 9th position, or even 10th, of course. To get knocked down outside of that top 10 is just a diabolical situation to be in. So if you are on the brink like that, then I can imagine that it is nerve-wracking if you decide to go in the pits and you think, oh, that time might be enough. If you make that decision and then it doesn't quite go your way, then it can be a very, very interesting scenario. Still 5 minutes of the session left to go then. And we have Jonathan Andre on our screens there. He's currently 15th, but he's not far off Heinrich Clemens-Ecker ahead of him. I've been told as well, thank you again to Barbara, that the number 25 machine is under investigation for penalty markers. Now, in the championship, we have a bit more of a black and white way of denoting the track limits at certain parts of the circuit anyway, where we have our large penalty markers placed around where the edges of the curbs often are. So we know definitely sometimes whether drivers hit them or not. Sometimes they can just about clip them and get away with it, but it just depends because it depends how hard they hit them, effectively. Sometimes they can overdo it slightly and just about knock them down, but they can remain in place. Other times they just graze them a little bit, or it might just be a bit of the aero wash coming off these trucks that knocks them sideways. You can see here now, Andre Kurzim has had to go back out because Rodriguez has moved up into 9th place ahead of Stefan Faas. So that has knocked Andre down outside of the top 10. As we've mentioned, it was his birthday yesterday, 31 years of age. But this is not the late birthday present that he wanted, having to go back out again during qualifying to set another time. At the end of the day, the drivers love it when they can have a quick one-lap session, get it all done, and then come back in. So Andre now building up to a fast time. Again, it's all just about making sure that you have everything done and running at the right temperature in its operating window. And then going all out, because he's only going to get a chance to do one lap, really, when he gets to it, because he's just going around Portigo now at the top of the hill. He's going to make his way back down now towards Bugatti, and he's not going at full chat either. This isn't a flat-out lap time by Kurzim. We've still got a bit of distance to cover. So lap time's around 2 minutes here at this circuit. The slowest lap so far in the session is a 2:02.0 by Jonathan Andre. So it's about 1:58 to 2 minutes 2. 3.6 seconds between the field is still pretty close, to be fair. There's not much of a spread between each of those positions either. That's what's worth noting. Andre Kurzim makes it round the final corner then. And he's got 2 minutes 1:0 and now. And yeah, he's across the line. So he's onto a flying lap while Christina is in the pit lane.
Yes, Chaz, sorry, we had a laugh about the connection here. Leah College, good to see you back again. A familiar face also back at the Bulgaria team. Just how many memories do you have got right now in your pocket?
A lot of memories. I was here racing last year, so now I'm here to support Theo and Adam, and I'm very happy to be here.
What are your actual plans?
We will have to see, but in a few weeks I'm going to do some GTs. So now is a small break until then, and then Dakar.
But you surely miss us, do you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm keeping track the whole season, so I'm happy finally I could actually come to be here to support.
Great to see you. Thank you very much. Leah College.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see Elia back in the paddock once again. As mentioned, she's been racing in GT4 with Bagheera. Her and her sister Yasmin have been racing together. They're known as the Dakar Sisters, and they will be competing in the Dakar Rally together as well. They're a fantastic partnership and great characters to have around the paddock. It brought a smile to everybody's faces when we all realised that she was back here for the final race weekend of the year. There's a man that may not have such a big smile on his face. Shane Brayton in the number 17 Apollo Tyres TOR truck racing machine. He's 12th at the moment and coming into the pits, so his session is done and he is not making it through to Superpole. I'm wondering whether they still have the same engine issues they were having before. Here's Andrei Kurzim. He's hoping not to have any engine issues in his Iveco. He's going up to the top of the hill now, in towards the hairpin at Monza, and then he's going to make his way back around across the line. There's one of those penalty markers I mentioned earlier on. Throws it through the right hand of the final corner down at Tunnel. And look at that, he's staying all the way over to the left, so he's not wasting any distance moving over to the right-hand side. Puts the time on the board, and it is good enough for 8th position for Andrei Kurzim. So he makes it back into Superpole, and he knocks Stefan Fast down into 11th place. So Stefan will not come through into the following session. Good job that by Andrei Kurzim. Got in just in the nick of time and set a good enough lap. Although I mentioned that Stefan Fast is not making it through. Stefan is actually on a fast lap right now. He's one of only a couple of drivers that are out there. So we'll have to wait and see actually what he completes here. I think we've got Jonathan Andre and John Newell still out on the road as well. There's John Newell. So he's been through the first sector, but doesn't look like he's on a fast lap. There's his team as well with the NWT branding all over their machines. And there is Stefan Fast with dust all over his machine as he throws it out of the Bugatti S's at the bottom of the hill. And again, very close to that penalty marker. Look at that. Incredibly close, using every millimetre of the surface. Flies around the final corner, just misses that penalty marker as well. And he goes across the line. And is it going to be enough of a time? It's not by Stefan Fast. It is a 2:01.214, his best time, a 2:01.015. So unfortunately for Stefan, he does not make it through. There's Jonathan Andre as well. He didn't beat his best time in that final lap either. He did a 2:02.644 as opposed to a 2:02.0 that he set earlier on. So we get our top 10 then, and that will be Norbert Kish, Sasha Lenz and Jochen Hahn as the top 3, ahead of Antonio Albertetti and Adam Lachko. Then it's going to be Teo Calve and Jamie Anderson, the 2 of 3 chrome-rated drivers in the Promoters' Cup to get through into Superpole. Andrei Kurzim gets in right at the end with an improvement on his lap time. Then Steffi Halm in 9th, and Jose Rodriguez will complete the top 10. Jose has just gone past the commentary box here as well, down the start-finish straight. So he's going to be out for another lap to bring it back in before the next session gets underway. There is Antonio Albertetti with Tim Frost, the legend that is. Tim was well up for getting involved in the video that we shot yesterday with Antonio's wonderful Mini Cooper that he has here. Great to see him back in his old car as well. But Tim was certainly a good laugh with his support for Antonio, waving the Spanish flag. And there is Jose Rodriguez, just makes it through into the remaining session, of course, inside the top 10. Just having a quick look at what the gap was, actually. It's unbelievably close as well. He was only 9 thousandths of a second faster than Stefan Fast. So Stefan only misses out on Superpole by 9 thousandths. That's a fraction of the time that it takes you to blink, just for reference. Incredibly, incredibly close. Literally 9 milliseconds, that's what that equates to. So these guys now make their way back into the pit lane. And once we get Jose Rodriguez back around and into the pits, that is when Superpole will get underway. So they're going to start lining the trucks up at the end of the pit lane. There is Teo Calve in the Bagheera ZM Racing Freightliner, one of 2 that we have in the field. And as ever, they've got the circuit and the dates of the racing event on the red stripe on the nose of their trucks. I love the attention to detail. Jamie Anderson making his way down there, then Andre Kurzim, and then you will see Steffi Halm get going on the right-hand side of your screen, and she will join the queue. And then we just need to wait for Jose Rodriguez to join the back of said queue. Now there you can have a look at Norbert Kisch's truck. He was just moving left and right there as he just aligned the steering. You can see just how much the tyres lean on these machines. They have what's known as a lot of caster angle. So when the tyre pokes out from underneath the bodywork, it leans with it as well to maintain a good contact patch on the road when the truck is leaning on it. When they're stationary, it looks completely bonkers. And when they drive through the paddock as well at very low speeds, it just looks wrong. It looks very, very wrong, almost like the suspension's broken and the wheel's just going to fall off. But it's all made so that when they're at speed and when they are cornering hard and they lean on the individual corners of this truck, that there is a good contact patch throughout. We've got an estimated start time there of 1:36 in the afternoon. It's now 1:35, so should be any moment now that we get Jose Rodriguez into the pits. Now I can see the pit lane entry right below my window here, so I will try and give you a fair idea of when he comes in if the cameras do not already show that. But everybody now waits patiently at the end of the pit lane to get this session back underway and to continue proceedings once more. There you can see a number of fans making their way around in the paddock, everybody enjoying seeing these machines up close. And that's one of the best things about this championship. It's so accessible because the trucks don't really fit in any of the major garages that we have at any circuits that we visit. All the trucks are in a big paddock, so everybody can walk up to them and see them in person, nice and close, and get a good old look at them. Now I can confirm that Jose Rodriguez has just entered the pit lane. That marshal there signalling, saying we may as well let them go, and I agree. And they're told to turn engines on if they haven't already. And Norbert Kisch is instructed to lead them out. Now in this session they go out in the order that they finish qualifying in, so drivers get a bit more clear air in front of them if they do well in that first session. It's a slight incentive to put in a faster time during the initial qualifying session at least. So the order, to remind you, is Norbert Kisch, Sascha Lenz, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albertetti, Adam Lachko, Teo Calve, Jamie Anderson, Andre Kurzim, Steffi Halm, and Jose Rodriguez. It was good to actually catch up with Steffi yesterday. She's one of the drivers that I've not really spoken to that much in the paddock over my time with the series, but we had a good old chat yesterday about racing opportunities and how sponsorships go from team to team, driver to driver, and how it all works. And it was just great to get an in-depth analysis of it and how her career has been, you know, the teams that she's raced for and who she's sort of been teamed up with or partnered with in these championships. And it's just awesome to hear. It really is. She's a true character, is Steffi, and a real fighter as well. She's been in the championship for 12 years. She took her maiden race victory at the Hungarian round in 2015. And before she came to truck racing, she used to actually race in touring cars and GT cars in a multitude of different categories. So she's certainly well versed behind the wheel, is Steffi, and we've seen her very feisty defensive battles before as well. One of my initial fantastic memories of Steffi was her battle with Adam Lachko at the first ever race meeting that I commentated on. I think it was the fourth and final race of the weekend, and it was just an epic battle where nobody was giving an inch. Steffi has 10 outright victories in the championship, 1 pole position. She has 60 appearances on the podium as well. And here is young Teo Calve, the Frenchman, another good friend of mine from the paddock. To be honest, I'm friends with everybody in the paddock, so it makes it difficult to ever sort of try not to support somebody if they're going for a race victory. But Teo Calve took his second ever outright race victory at Le Mans last week. His first ever one came at the end of last season here at Jarama. He has 8 podium appearances outright, and this weekend he's going to complete 66 race starts. He's got 62 at the moment at just 21 years of age. Now I can hear Norbert Kisch making his way past, and he certainly has done. He's flying past down the start-finish straight. Now I can see a black and orange flag going out on the start-finish line, which is quite an interesting one. And it is Teo Calve actually getting a warning for smoke. Now in the championship, of course, it's all about sustainability and clean energy. All these trucks run on 100% renewable HVO diesel, hydro-treated vegetable oil diesel. So we do not get the billows of black smoke or even white smoke out the back of them. But sometimes based on the sort of engine map that they're using, or just the power that they're putting out, or just how the truck's been set up for the race that they're doing at the time, you can sometimes get a bit of smoke from it. We do have observers around the circuit, but failing that, there are also lambda sensors in the exhausts for these machines. So there is a definite sort of mathematical way of calculating certain emissions and things that are coming out, and whether that is not with the sustainable ideas of the championship. And, well, they're not just ideas, to be honest with you. Even just this weekend, the ETRA, which is the organising body, we've actually been travelling around in electric cars for the weekend as well. We've had a little BMW i3, which I've been a passenger of. Admittedly, not a huge fan of how it looks, but it goes like stink, and it's obviously very clean. All electric. There's a great market for it at the moment, and even in motorsport there is as well. Let's not forget that earlier in the season, the FIA announced that the hybrid and electric powertrains will be allowed to compete in the the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship from 2023 onwards. It's just down to whether the teams and obviously the manufacturers, if they choose to support it, will put in the development time for it. Because it's not going to be a simple or cheap process for sure to develop that sort of technology for racing. But it's great to see that the championship is open to that, allowing all forms of the technology to come with it. As I've never seen a penalty marker have its head chopped off, but unfortunately now we have. Normally if these trucks hit a penalty marker, it goes absolutely flying in one piece, but Jamie's just made that one about a foot shorter as he comes out of the final corner. Norbert Kish goes even faster than he did earlier, if I can get my words out. A 1 minute 50.070, 58.070. Ahead of Jochen Hahn, who's done a 59.036. Sasha Lenz with a 59.366. Puts in 1.2, nearly 1.3 seconds off. Alberthetti next up. Teo Calve fifth, ahead of his teammate Adam Lachko by tenths as well. And it's Andrei Kurzim, Steffi Hallman, Jose Rodriguez completes the 9 trucks that have valid times at the moment. Jamie Anderson did have his relevant lap time removed because of that penalty marker that I think we all very clearly saw him hit there at the end of the lap. He and Teo will surely be feeling a lot of pressure this weekend because of the Promoters' Cup battle that they have going on, but it's exciting to see two of the most exciting drivers in the championship going head-to-head for a title. Now, I can see them preparing a board down in front of me to hold out for the drivers, and I believe it's going to be for Jamie Anderson because, yep, he's put number 33 on it. So that's just going to be a warning for said penalty markers, I believe. We look here at Jose Rodriguez in the number 14 Rebo Canort Racing Truck Team, MAN. He and his son, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, have been sort of swapping trucks as of late. I was even watching them re-sticker this truck the other day just to put the series branded number boards and numbers on it. Make sure it is all up to scratch. And this, of course, a different truck to the one that he started the season in. His usual design was blue, white, and red. But this is the truck that his son has been using throughout the season in the French Truck Racing Championship and the Mittelrhein Cup as well, which was racing at the Nürburgring back in July. Seems like forever ago now. I can't even believe it's already October in 2022. It's quite frightening, to be honest with you. So too is the pace of Norbert Kirsch, nearly a second clear of Jochen Hahn. He continues to impress everybody in this championship. Him and Baloo absolutely at one. So across the line then goes Jochen Hahn, then Antonio Alberthetti. Trying to get in some solid performances on home soil. Jamie Anderson just looking to get a fast time on the board now. we have Adam Lachko next up on his way into turn 1, and Teo Calve now onto the brakes. He has got Andre Kurzim just behind him. And Sasha Lenz is on a fast lap as well. He's pushing now down into Portago. Now that Jochen Hahn is ahead of him, he needs to try and get back on the front row of the grid. He needs to start gaining points back on Jochen in the final race meeting of the season. There's only 12 points between the two of them, and you get 20 for winning the first race and third race of the weekend. You get 15 points for second, 12 points for third, then 10 in fourth place. So in those top couple of positions, they're all important because you get more points gained on each driver around you if you finish ahead of them up there. They're more vital to championship scoring. And that's what Sasha Lenz needs to focus on this weekend in the SL Truck Sport 30 machine if he wants to wear that number 2 again for next season. He goes across the line now. Is it an improvement by Sasha? It is not. He does a 1:59.420 on that lap. His best time was a 1:59.366. So he does not improve, nor does he overtake Jochen Hahn. I think he's just going to try and go for another one, but that looked a little bit too hot into turn 1, a little bit late on the brakes. I think that might have put pay to it already. The times keep tumbling, though. Jamie Anderson goes 6th fastest, just misses out on beating Teo Calve. And then Adam Lachko beats him. Adam Lachko puts another truck between the two of them. Antonio Alberthetti, I think, is going to go for another fast lap. He's gone 3rd fastest ahead of Sasha Lenz as well. So Alberthetti puts it on the 2nd row of the grid. I'm sure everyone's going to be going nuts about that. Jamie Anderson as well looks like he wants to improve even further. He's currently 7th, 2 places behind his main Promoters Cup rival. Now in their championship, as I mentioned before, that will not matter because even if there's one truck between them, they still score points as if they were 1st and 2nd. So 20, if Calve finished there, would go to him, and then Jamie Anderson would get 15. That would, though, mean that the championship gap gets extended to 20 points for Teo Calve. So Jamie needs to finish ahead of him in each of the races this weekend to outscore him. Even if in all 4 races they were 1st and 2nd in each one, in the Promoters Cup anyway, Jamie would score 60 points. And Teo, well, he would score, as he thinks about it, 48, which would be 12 points difference for 1st and 2nd for each race. So Jamie needs to do more than that. So for Teo to take the Promoters Cup this weekend, he basically just needs to finish every race 2nd in class, regardless of what anybody else does. You can see Sasha Lenz there slowing it down on his in lap. He definitely gave up on that one. Jamie now making his way out of Monza into tunnel, flying down the start-finish straight. There you see no penalty marker this time. He's going to cross the line, and the lap time is going to be a 2 minutes .142. So he's about 3.5 tenths off his fastest time. So it's no improvement for Jamie Anderson in the penultimate qualifying session of the season, and he will start this race at best from 7th on the grid. He's going to make his way back round now and into the pit lane. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody else still on a fast time. Don't think anyone's actually improving further at this point, but I'm happy to be corrected, I'm sure. Alberthetti was going to be on a fast time, but he's just come into the pits below my window. So it seems like his lap didn't work out. So it looks like another pole position for Norbert Kirsch. That's going to be his 14th of the season out of a possible 16. And we've had 15 of them so far. Absolutely incredible. There is Antonio Alberthetti. There was a number of fans all waiting around that area before, and you can still see them all waving to him, cheering him on. There was a huge number of them all waiting to welcome him back into the paddock. He's going to swing it around and back it into the awning. And Tim Frost and his wonderful team can get to work. There is champion-elect Norbert Kish as well. He's making his way through the paddock. Adam Lachko on his way in. There's Rudy as well, waving them in. As Jamie Anderson makes his way back around and into the pits. Teo Calve there with Andre Kurzim just behind. More instruction given by Rudy to continue on. I think some of them will be going into scrutineering or elsewhere. Andre Kurzim there in the Iveco. You can see what they've done to sort of modify the front of his truck over the course of the season. There's been more and more sort of cut out of the front of it to help aerodynamics and obviously help cooling as well. And the aero does make a difference on these machines. That's the impressive thing. You wouldn't have thought that it would make that much of a difference on something so big for it to be affected by aerodynamics and downforce as such. But it can make a big difference. There you see a number of them just pulled over to one side into Parc Ferme. That's Teo Calve. I believe the truck closest to us is Jochen Hahn, the number 4 machine. I recognise the Norbrems branding on the rear mudguards. And yes, there you do see Jochen Hahn on the left-hand side. He's got at least a front row start for the first race of the weekend. Albacete and Lenz will be next up behind. And there you see a very, very busy trackside view of what everyone is up to in the gorgeous sunshine. Umbrellas out, but not for a bad reason. You know it's a good day when the umbrella's out to stop the sunshine. And we're going to go back down into the paddock as we were just a moment ago. And Christina has an interview with the wonderful Teo Calve.
Yes, short congrats from Jochen Hahn. P5 it is after the Super Pole. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's good. It's the first time of the year I am in front of my teammate Adam, and yeah, I'm quite happy with the time. I did a few mistakes in the lap, so it could be better. On the provisional, it was written even more less 0.3 seconds, so I did mistake in 2 last corners. But it happened, it's experience, and I'm happy with the P5.
Is Adam Lachko helping you throughout this weekend because you're aiming for the title?
No, we don't say anything because he is also battling for the 3rd position. So we both made our own race. But P5 is good because it's on the inside, and here the first corner is really tricky. So I'm secure for the first corner, and I'm happy.
Thank you very much, Teo Calve. The first corner is the right corner, of course, Chaz. This is why it's very easy, it seems, to be right now entering race number 1. But first of all, back to you.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. Teo mentions that, I hadn't thought how many times has he out-qualified his teammate this year, because I'm sure he's done it before now, but to be honest, I think if anyone's going to remember that, it would be Teo. So, yeah, very interesting to hear that from him. But 5th place on the grid, fantastic time from him. Really impressive indeed. And he continues to impress us all, does Teo. He's a really bright young lad. He's very talented behind the wheel. And he's a good character to talk to as well. He's always up for an interview and always gives a good insight into how the racing goes. But of course, that position is going to be very, very handy for him. 5th place ahead of Adam Lachko. 3rd row of the grid is going to be all Bagheera ZM Racing Freightliners. Interestingly enough as well, they were 5th and 6th in the first part of qualifying, but the other way round. So we're going to have a look at the overall results and how that qualifying session finished, but it's another pole position for Norbert Kish. Jochen Hahn will join him on the front row. Antonio Albacete and Sasha Lenz will be on row 2, with Teo Calve and Adam Lachko on row 3. Jamie Anderson will line up right behind Teo on the grid, alongside Andre Kurzim, with Steffi Halm and Jose Rodriguez rounding out the top 10 positions. Behind them will be Stefan Faas and Shane Brereton. He's got his countryman John Newell in 13th, ahead of Heinrich Clemens Hecker, and Jonathan Andre will be on his own at the back of the grid, but that gives him more opportunities into the first couple of corners to try and move around, get down the inside line, or maybe even try and take advantage around the outside for other drivers having to slow it down. There's a wonderful, I believe it's an old Renault T-Series making its way around the circuit. I believe this is the truck that will be doing the inspection for the Spanish Truck Racing Championship, which is also here for this weekend. And we actually speak to the belated birthday boy, Andre Kurzim, as Christina has a quick interview with him.
Yes, of course. Herzlichen Glückwunsch nochmal nachträglich. Happy birthday from us. Delayed. We did that yesterday, but right now on air, Andre Kurzim, and it's present time again. You're on P8 ahead of race number 1 at Superpole. You managed to get in there the last second. How did you do that?
Yes, the first lap was not a perfect lap, and yes, now we have to go for a second time, and yes, we can do it, and now we are in the 8th position, and yes, now we will see. I don't know.
How confident were you ahead of Superpole? Did you see, yes, I can make it, I can do that?
Yes, I think I can do it every time, and yes, but this year is not so easy for us.
How glad are you that the season finale is here in Spain? You can see lots of fans, the atmosphere is great.
Yes, here a lot of spectators, crazy spectators, and every year a lot of spectators and the big show here, and yes, every time it's nice here.
Thanks for doing the show for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So crazy spectators, yes, indeed. As you remember, Chaz, they sometimes bring some change here, but without the pointy parts of that, of course. Security first. But yeah, Andre Kurzim is here in a good mood. The team right now getting prepped for race number 1, Chaz.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a difficult season for them, hasn't it, to be honest? He was really, really impressive last year and got an overall race victory here, and he's just not quite had the same luck this season. We have, of course, 2 races coming up over the course of the weekend, or sorry, over the course of the day, apologies, 4 races over the weekend. We have 5 to 3 today, we'll have the live stream, and then we'll have 10 past 5 for the second one. It's going to be quite a late evening for us here at the track, but that's what we love in the championship. We love a long day and everybody getting on with it and making the most of our time at the circuit. We'll have a quick look back, though, at some of the highlights of that session and exactly how it all panned out, shall we? Was apparently we're going to go back down to Christina. Apologies, we're going to say goodbye and wrap it up. So that's all from me in the commentary box here for qualifying and Superpole. But I will see you all again in race 1 in a little bit.
Yes, because we do have to do some things in between, get our plans ready. Please do set the alarm clock for race number 1. Thank you very much, Chaz Draco, Joachim Ebers, our commentators. My name is Christina Rand, and we are standing here in front of the main building at the Jarama circuit. The weather is so nice, and we're really looking forward for the first of 4 races then this weekend. And then we're going to wrap it up, the championship, the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. But still 4 races to go. Do not miss any one of them. See you soon.